What's the fastest way you've seen someone improve their life? Part 1. Do you know somebody who changed their life? Share it in the comments. A guy I know constantly looked so tired and napped all the time during the day. He would nap so hard that you would have to shake him to wake him up, and he could fall asleep anywhere super fast. I asked him about it and he told me he felt tired all the time because he couldn't sleep at night. He figured he just had insomnia or something but refused to go to a doctor about it. One day he had a legit mental breakdown after a few drinks. We basically had to babysit him all night and I'm convinced it was because of his constantly exhausted state. Not long after that incident he went to the doctor about his sleep and it turns out he had been living with severe sleep apnea for years. The doctor told him he was basically on the verge of a heart attack or stroke because of it. Now he sleeps with a special mask at night and he has completely changed for the better. He visibly has way more energy and his performance in school went through the roof. Edit: I have got tons of comments from this post saying it inspired people to go have an appointment with a doctor, to which I say good. I can't stress enough how much getting treatment helped my friend. It's fortunate such a debilitating condition has such an effective and immediate treatment available for it, so by all means go check it out. Take care. Worked with a guy at AutoZone that had 2 sets of kids and 2 sets of child support payments. He worked 40 hours with us and then 30 to 40 at a grocery store just killing himself to survive. Turns out that he was like 9 hours away from a degree he had begun a decade earlier and he just randomly mentioned it to a coworker while they were stocking things. The managers at both stores knew his situation and worked his schedule together to get him the hours he needed. They started a tuition fund that anyone could donate to and both sat him down to say he needed to finish his school. The school put together a pre-REQ class for him, which he made in and off he went 1 class at a time. 1 year later he walked the stage with a marketing degree and turned his whole life around at 41 or 42. I had a friend that had an addictive personality. He was incredibly smart but liked to party too much. During junior year of high school he got in a car accident, broke some bones, and got addicted to the pills he was prescribed. He spiraled downwards after that and barely made it out of high school. Most people lost contact with him and thought he would just be another lowlife. A few years after high school one of our mutual friends committed suicide and he took it very harshly, but it was enough to change his attitude. He took up an interest in investments and decided to move away from his burnout friends to attend a college. He graduated in less than 4 years and ended up working for a reputable bank earning 6 figures, and now he's always posting his luxurious vacations on Facebook. It was a crazy turnaround for him. Damn. I used to scoff at people who were weak enough to get addicted to pills. Then I had surgery a couple months ago and was given some perks. After I took them for a couple days I had a moment where I said, oh, I get it now. Stopped taking them right that day and just handled the pain. My lifelong friend went down the heroin jail path in his early 20s. His personality was always to go with the flow, for better or worse. He became part of a terrible group of people that routinely did awful stuff in order to score. Imagine robbing your own grandmother, that caliber of desperation. After a stint being locked up and getting clean he stopped talking to anyone from that group. No communication whatsoever, cold turkey. Lived with his mom, found a job he could walk to since his driver's license was long gone, and started getting in shape physically. He did counseling, broke his heroin habit, got into martial arts as a positive outlet for his energy. Talking to him now, he says breaking contact with all those people was the only way he made it out. About 5 years ago I started doing this little mental trick. If there was some small thing I needed to do I just counted to 3 in my head and did it. Stuff like 1, 2, 3, put on my workout clothes, 1, 2, 3, empty the dishwasher, 1, 2, 3, answer that email, 1, 2, 3, turn the TV off. I promised myself that every 1, 2, 3 would be something I could achieve in less than 10 minutes, and that I would never fail to do something once I finished the countdown. I was amazed at how many of life's problems were solved by overcoming those little moments of inertia during the day. My level of motivation before and after that shift was night and day. It made a huge difference in my health, career, financial state, etc. I know it probably sounds silly, but my life made a massive and quick change for the better once I adopted this strategy. Don't want to sound boastful, but I can't think of anything better than my last 6 months. I went from approximately 275 to 180 pounds. Never dated anyone in 26 years, and now I feel like I can find a date if I wanted to. Life is very different when you aren't fat. I quit my minimum wage job and stopped talking to my abusive dad. Some 9 months later I got hired into my current job, got my driver's license, bought a brand new car, and have started losing weight gradually. It's been 2 years and my car is a little over half paid for, and my dad has no idea how awesome my life is. I plan to keep it that way. 1 week in high school I decided that I would go for a bike ride every day after school. Massive improvement in attitude and motivation. I began to like school more, got my homework done earlier, and I also got into shape, which was an added bonus. Not very fast, but my morbidly obese friend started exercising and dieting and has lost 60 pounds over the last few months. I'm super proud. They are like a completely different person. Full of energy and confidence. I hope they stick to it. A friend of mine had been a little bit of a poop head the past few years. Good kid at heart, but had a terribly addictive personality and was hanging out with crappy people, in debt to all his friends because he was buying way too many drugs and way too much alcohol, lost one of his 2 jobs for showing up high too much, you get the idea. He just sucked at saying no to people and his self-control suffered for it. Well, he ended up getting a DUI, and as part of the punishment he had to spend the night in jail. I never used to believe in the whole scared straight thing, but it seriously worked. I picked him up the next day and he looked like he'd seen a ghost. Just kept saying, "I never want to end up like the people I saw in there, man," and shaking his head. It's been almost a year since then, and he's been totally on the straight and narrow. Got a promotion at work, is making rent on time. I haven't seen him have more than a couple beers in a sitting in that time. He hasn't really elaborated on what he saw that night besides a couple stories about some real tweakers, but whatever it was, I guess it set him straight. My cousin life was spiraling out of control. She was dating a loser, got hooked on heroin, lost custody of her kid. She ended up taking her mom's car without permission. My aunt got her arrested and my cousin spent 2 months in jail waiting for trial because my aunt refused to let anyone pay the bail. My cousin got her act together and she has been clean for at least 2 years and she has custody of her son back. Everyone was pissed at my aunt for getting her own kid arrested and then just leaving her there, but it was the best decision. A homeschooler had drifter parents and unemployed friends. He decided on his own to start school in grade 11, graduated, got a trade that he hated, so started going to university and working on the side. He graduated with high honors and just started his dream job. My sister was in a really toxic relationship with a complete basket case. Dude was a wannabe tough guy and was always putting her down. She is a very outdoors person and loves going on hikes, working in the forest, and is studying to become a forestry biologist. He had zero of her interests, never went with her on hikes, hated the forest, not very fond of animals. They never ever got along but refused to break up because it'd leave him with nothing. One day she meets a nice guy at her new job, who's super into hiking, loves working in the forest, loves animals almost as much as she does and genuinely enjoyed her company. Not to mention he bought his own truck with money he saved up. It was a used Toyota, but still impressive. I think that was a wake-up call for her. I think she realized there are decent men out there and she could have one if she wanted to. She immediately broke up with her old boyfriend and started dating the new guy the same day. We were a little worried at first because breaking up with one guy and immediately going to another is usually a bad sign. But after getting to know him, he ended up being a nice guy with a sense of humor and decent social skills. They've been together 3 or 4 years now and so many of the issues my sister was dealing with have dissipated. She's more financially independent, doing well in her classes, has a better outlook on life. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. And please leave feedback, suggestions, and stories in the comments.